Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. So we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm your host, Jeffrey, and subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. We just hit 90 subs. Again, thank you guys so much, and I hope I continue to make content you guys will enjoy in the future. Now, we have the Red River rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas, but in most years, this game is maybe more high profile than it is this year because both teams are kind of struggling a little bit. Who do I think is going to win this game? Let's break it down. Now, Oklahoma starts the season as 3-2, and Brent Venables' first season as the head coach now that Lincoln Riley's gone to USC. And Oklahoma started out very well. They started their season with a 45-13 win over UTEP, and then they beat Kent State 33-3. And then they beat Nebraska on the road 49-14 in the old rivalry they used to have in the Big 12. So everything was looking good for Brent Venables. But in their last 2 weeks, they had a loss to Kansas State 41-34 at home. And then they lost at TCU 55-24 in a game that they weren't competitive in. TCU blew them out. Now, there were a few variables in this game that made it where they got blown out, but it still doesn't excuse the fact that their defense gave up as many points as they did and as many yards because TCU had almost 700 yards of offense. But quarterback Dillon Gabriel, he got hurt in this game against TCU, and he had 126 yards against TCU. And that's going to hurt Oklahoma if he cannot play against Texas because backup quarterback Davis Beville had 50 yards, and he did not look comfortable in the pocket, and he was struggling. So if Dillon Gabriel can't play against Texas, it's not going to look good for Oklahoma. Running back Javante Barnes at 100 yards and 2 touchdowns against TCU, and running back Eric Gray, the transfer from Tennessee, had 60 yards and a touchdown. So the running game was decent against TCU. Tight end Braden Willis at 81 yards, and wide receiver Marvin Mims is a very good wide receiver, but he only had 41 yards, obviously because Dillon Gabriel did not play most of the game. Defensive back Justin Harrington at 4 tackles, linebacker Jake McCoy at 4 tackles, defensive back Woody Washington at 2 tackles against TCU. But again, Oklahoma's defense did not play well in this game, and they're going to have to step it up, especially considering the fact Brent Venables was the defensive coordinator at Clemson. You would hope that he's able to turn Oklahoma's defense around because that is the strength of Brent Venables as head coach. It's supposed to be the defense. That's what's supposed to improve for Oklahoma, and it has not so far. On the Texas side, Steve Sarkisan, he's in his second season as head coach. They went 5-7 last year. He was the offensive coordinator at Alabama, but he's now the Texas head coach, and they're 3-2 to start the season as well. And they've had mixed results. Their first game of the season, they beat UL Monroe 52-10, and that was a good win. But then they lost to Alabama 20-19 in a game of vengeance. But unlike the Missouri-Auburn game, where the running back was just a half yard short from the end zone before fumbling, kind of game of vengeance, this game literally went down to Bryce Young, his backside not hitting the ground, and Texas lost the game because they didn't get a safety when he threw the ball away, and he was just barely above the ground, and plus they gave up the field goal at the end and they had to stop him. So his kind of proverbial game of inches is a little bit different. So unfortunately for Texas, they lost a heartbreaker. They should have won against Alabama. Plus also Quinn Ewers, their star quarterback, went down and he got hurt in that game just like Colt McCoy did many years ago for Texas against Alabama. Then they beat UTSA 41-20, and then they lost at Texas Tech in overtime 37-34, and another game that was a heartbreaker. Bijan Robinson fumbled it in overtime, and then they allowed Texas Tech to go down there and score, and they also let them score in regulation too. And then they beat West Virginia 38-20. So both teams, Texas and Oklahoma, have had some struggles. Texas more should probably be 5-0. Oklahoma's obviously, the Kansas State game was close, but they got blown out against TCU. Quarterback Quinn Ewers is going to play against Oklahoma. And since he is going to play, I think that really helps Texas a lot because as you can see, when Texas was playing against Alabama, they played fantastic when Quinn Ewers was in. Quarterback Hudson Card against West Virginia had 303 yards and 3 touchdowns. So if Quinn Ewers has any issues or he gets hurt again, Hudson Card is capable of leading Texas to a win. Running back Bijan Robinson had 101 yards and a touchdown, 34 receiving yards against West Virginia. He's a really good running back, and he's going to be in the NFL. He obviously had the fumble against Texas Tech, but he is a fantastic running back. Wide receiver Xavier Worthy, another NFL talent, had 119 yards and 2 touchdowns against West Virginia, and he had a passing touchdown, 33 yards through the air, so that's fantastic. Tight end Jatavian Sanders at 78 yards and 2 touchdowns, and wide receiver Jordan Whittington at 58 yards. So Texas offense is really, really good. And on the defense side of the ball, linebacker Jalen Ford at 7 tackles, defensive back Ryan Watts at 5 tackles, and defensive back Jaron Thompson at 6 tackles. So Texas's defense, they've given up a lot of points, but not as much as Oklahoma has. So who do I think is going to win the Red River rivalry? Obviously, Oklahoma's dominated this rivalry in the past, but Oklahoma is not the same team without Lincoln Riley, as you can see. And if Dylan Gabriel cannot play, that's going to be even worse, because at least if Quinn Ewers is struggling for Texas or he's hurt again, their backup quarterback Hudson Card has shown a lot more than Davis Beville has so far this season. And I think that Texas has the better defense than Oklahoma right now, even though I'm shocked, again, because Brent Venables being the head coach and he was a defensive coordinator, you would think that with him being at Clemson, you would think that Oklahoma's defense would be better than it is. But it hasn't so far this season. So I have Texas winning this game 35-24. I think Oklahoma can win this game if they get their act together on defense and if Dylan Gabriel is able to play. But if he's not able to play and their defense continues to give up what they are, Texas defense is going to stop Oklahoma more often, and Quinn Ewers or Hudson Card is going to be able to lead Texas to victory in the Red River rivalry 35-24. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Comment down below whether you think Oklahoma or Texas is going to win this game and why. And I will see you next time.